Maria Gaetana Agnesi, a biography. Maria Gaetana Agnesi was one of the most remarkable women of the Enlightenment, an Italian mathematician, philosopher, theologian, and linguist, who wrote one of the first comprehensive textbooks on calculus. Living in 18th century Milan, she became the first woman to author a significant mathematics treatise and one of the earliest to be recognized by a university. Though largely forgotten in her later years, her intellectual legacy has enjoyed renewed appreciation in recent decades. Childhood and birthplace. Maria Gaetana Agnesi was born on 16th of May 1718 in Milan, then part of the Duchy of Milan under Habsburg rule. She was the eldest of at least 21 children born to Pietro Agnesi, a wealthy silk merchant and university professor, and his 3 successive wives. Her upbringing took place in a household committed to social mobility and intellectual distinction. From an early age, Maria showed extraordinary intellectual gifts. By the time she was 5, she could speak Italian and French fluently, and by 9, she had mastered Latin, Greek, Hebrew, and several other languages. Her father, eager to showcase his prodigious daughter, organized salons at their home in Milan, where she would deliver speeches on philosophical topics before gathered nobles and scholars. Education and upbringing. Maria's formal education was unconventional but rigorous. Educated at home, she was exposed to philosophy, natural sciences, and mathematics, with private tutors assisting her studies. Although her father had scholarly ambitions for her, it is clear that Maria was largely self-directed and deeply drawn to mathematics. She expressed early a desire to enter a convent, longing for a quieter, more contemplative life. But her father dissuaded her, wanting her to remain the public face of the Agnesi family's intellectual prominence. By her late teens, however, she began withdrawing from public life, turning her attention to mathematics and theology. She continued her studies privately, encouraged by her younger brother's mathematics tutor, and began working on a major textbook aimed at explaining complex ideas in a clear and structured manner. Notable works. Maria Gaetana Agnesi's most important work is Istituzioni Analitiche ad uso della Gioventù Italiana, Analytical Institutions for the Use of Italian Youth, published in 1748. This 2-volume text was the first of its kind to present algebra, calculus, and analytic geometry in a unified and accessible format. Written in Italian rather than Latin, it marked a bold move toward broader educational accessibility. One of the curves she examined in this work, known as the versiera, was mistranslated into English as the Witch of Agnesi, a result of confusion between the Italian word aversiera, meaning she-devil, and the mathematical term versoria, a nautical term used for a curve. Despite this linguistic accident, the term stuck, and the curve remains associated with her name in mathematical literature. Her book was widely praised across Europe and was translated into French and other languages. Pope Benedict XIV appointed her to the chair of mathematics and natural philosophy at the University of Bologna, making her arguably the first woman to be offered a professorship in mathematics at a European university, although she never took up the position formally. Later life and personal devotion. Despite her fame, Maria Gaetana Agnesi increasingly turned away from the public intellectual world. Following the death of her father in 1752, she abandoned mathematics entirely and devoted herself to theological study and charitable work. She spent the remaining decades of her life caring for the poor, the sick, and elderly women in Milan. She never married, choosing instead a life of religious devotion and service. She became the director of the Opera Pia Trivulzio, a home for the aged and infirm, where she lived out her final years. Her later writings focused entirely on Christian theology, though few were published. Death and legacy. Maria Gaetana Agnesi died in Milan on the 9th of January 1799, largely forgotten by the public that once celebrated her genius. For many years, her contributions to mathematics were overshadowed by her religious retreat. However, in modern times, scholars have re-evaluated her legacy, recognizing her as a pioneering woman in mathematics whose achievements were all the more remarkable given the constraints of her era. Today, her name endures not only through the misnamed Witch of Agnesi curve, but also as a symbol of early female intellectual brilliance. She is celebrated in Italy and internationally as a model for women in STEM, and her life continues to inspire discussions about education, gender, and scientific achievement.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to show your support.